Okay, so I sent you a bunch of things that, you know the way it is. I always discover things, and so I sent you a bunch of things this after an hour ago. Okay, I'd like to elaborate on 2 points. I mentioned that there are these things. I said I would talk about it. Well, I'll get to the interesting, juicy spores beforehand. Then later, I just wanted to clarify two nakudas which from Mishnah Gemara. Again, we learned this idea of and Taisus took for granted the concept of afilu anishu b'Yisrael means she'ein lo, he doesn't have a meat. But the Taisus took for granted. Now we clearly saw that the other Rishonim did not think that way at all. And I'd like to point out there's good reason. It's a big tzorchi in the Taisus. Before I do that, I'd like to first start with the basic concept of that which we know that I mentioned at the Gemara in Brachos that the Suda is nikva through Heseiba. I'd like to see the sources of that to get it a bit clearer. Okay, so it goes as follows. The Tosefta writes in Brachos, you have it, I sent it to you, I don't know if you have it. In Peri Dalet, Brisa Ches, it's a Ma'aseh Tosefta. It's brought down the Gemara in Brachos, Membeza, Medalf, and Yerushalmi with slight shinuyim. That's why I sent you all of them. But I'm going to read the Tosefta. The Tosefta says as follows: Ketzat Seder HaSuda. What the normal Seder of a Suda? We're talking about Zman Tosefta. That means during the Zman Talmud. Actually, with the already, I mean, this is already Gemaras that say we learned Surah Suda from the Persians. They were Mumchim in Suda. I in the Megillah Esther, and you'll see it there. So it writes as follows: Ketzat Seder HaSuda. Orchim nichnasim v'yashvim agabis hapsal. They first go into what you would call the ante-room. Okay, the prisdor. They would sit there on sapsalit. Agabit katedros. These are all the different types of sapsalit. There were benches, chairs, benches, comfortable benches, not beds. They would sit, properly sitting on sapsalit. Achi kansu kulam. They would wait. They would only go into the meal after all the guests were there. Perceived as totally not proper manners to come in once the meal proceeded. So they waited for all the guests to come. Okay? Then they all came in, first of all, into the cathedral. They waited there. When all the guests finally came into this anteroom, they gave water to them because face it from the kiosk. First, you're coming into a house, you have to wash your hands. And then it says, you wash the hand, which basically you're going to hold food with, which was a mazgul sakais, and you had the first cup of wine. So then it's echad mevarach la'atzmai. Since they're still in the anteroom and they're still sitting on the benches, so each person, the Suda didn't start yet, so each person is makes the bracha on the kais la'atzmai. Hevilim papiroyos, they bought them delicacies, was fried chicken, what nuggets, whatever these things are. This is pragios, vedagim, these small little things that the Gemara describes in Psachim. They were like dessert. If you look at the Mishnah of Afikaiman, and these things are like dessert. Okay, they gave them like these like the sweets. Called echad ve'echad muvarach la'atzah. They were sitting there in the anteroom prior to entering the dining hall. And they were still on chairs or benches, so that they were called Baruch La'atzmai. Alu, they went up into the dining hall, Heseiba, and then they lay down on their couches, on their mitais. As Nasnu Emily Adayim, once again, they washed their hands because it's very simple. You have to wash your hands again. Your hands are filthy from the pragios, and they didn't have spoons and forks and knives in those days. They had Maisav Yiseinu B'Yadenu. They ate with their hands. I once heard this. I was in a Yiddish edition on Tverku or a bicycle, and they were giving out. Somebody asked, "Does anybody have a fork?" They're giving fish. So he said, "My son is saying to be a denu." No, they eat with their hands. Okay, well, I didn't. Anyway, so this said to wash again. Naslam le'adayim. Apa pi shenaitel yad achas naisel l'shtei yad. Mazgul le'emes akais. Now the meal starts with the wine. Now you're starting the meal. This is already yayin. Sha'ol nikva suda. Before it was just dessert. Was just having a drink. It was like having martinis and hors d'oeuvres before the dinner. That's what they did, sitting on the benches. And now you're going into the dinner. The dinner starts obviously with wine. And then it says, now, once again, they bought that. This was already like what you call the first course. The first course was, once again, delicacies. I told you, chicken nuggets, and whatever you people give it, the schmuggler's board, whatever it's called over there. Every papiros. Now, this is Tzursa Sudos and Mevorach HaShniya. Ve'echad Mevorach L'Kula. At that stage, because they're already laying down on their beds, okay, that's called Olu. When they went in the Heseiba, now the Suda is starting. That's why they have a Yayin. That's why they have a bracha again on the papiros. And that's why the din is Echad Mevorach L'Kula. Have you Sholish papiros? Once, 3 times they had this 3 times the waiters went around and gave the papiros. This was the simon that's it. Whoever, there was basically time letting the latecomers to show up. Okay, but after they did 3 times, it was really proper. 3 times this sivuv, this turning, this serving the 3 types of delicacies. Ein rishus likarnes. That's it. It's not in rishus, not a din. It's not proper manners to now come in once everybody started the meal. You're late. Go away. There's a beautiful minik. Parsim mitpachais agabe Pesach. They used to put mitpachais like linens or shades, whatever it is, on the entrance. When the mitpachais, when those sheets are still hanging, that's the simon that they haven't finished yet the 3 sets of the papiros, and then the dinner's orchim can still come in. The stalku, once they took away this, ein rishus lo'achim likonis. This is a beautiful minig. Okay, the idea was manners. So what we see here clearly when you read this Tosefta, it's very, look at the language of Tosefta. Anybody, you have to be almost blind not to see where the lashon of the Mishnah comes from. Okay, so what did it say here? When they're still on the sapsolim of the katedros in the anteroom, before they went into the dining hall, they were called Yoshvim al-Sapsolim. And then the din was Echad Ve'echad Mevorach La'atzmai. Masha'enkin, when Olu Heseiba, then they again had wine, they again had papiros. At that stage is the beginning of the meal. Then the din was that what? Echad Mevorach L'Kula. Now this brayso has repeated itself in Brachas Mem Gimel and the Yerushalmi. There was slight shinuyim. I'll be honest about that. With slight shinuyim, but basically it's all the same thing. Now, in light of this, now we understand that. So we saw that the Heseiba was the minig of that's the way they had sudash. That's how it was done. Okay. So now we go to the Mishnah in Brachas Mem Beis, where it's clear when I read the Mishnah and it says, now what is this? That is mamish what is elaborated in the Tosefta. Yoshvim means in the anteroom prior to going into starting the Suda. Mamish the lashon of Tosefta. Quite defnation olu the law say that was the lashon of Tosefta. So it's a davar pashut that Tosefta, as we know, I told you many times, that Tosefta is a chav of the Mishnah, kimavur in the Agdama of the Rambam of the Yad. So we understand this is Reb Chia, Reb Shia. What they do? They were sitting in the anteroom on Sapsolim B'Katedros. So there it wasn't called the meal yet. The Echad Mevorach La'atzmai. Heseiba, once they went into the dining hall, and now they're Meisiv, they're on, which means Alamita, as we learned in the Rishonim. Then Echad Mevorach L'Kulam. That is called one meal. That's a davar pashut. This is the Chayre Davar Pashut. So now I'd like to understand how far this goes. So okay, so this is just Mavara and Mavasa is that which I gave you background of what's yesterday. I want to show how this goes further though. If you open up the Gemara in Brachas, so in Daf Mem Beis Amid Beis, the Gemara says like this. Hayu Yashim Kol Echad Ve'echad Mevorach La'atzmai. This is at the bottom of the page of Mem Beis Amid Beis. Heseiba and lo Heseiba lo. It's only if they're Heseiba that we say that there's a dinner Echad Mevorach L'Kulam lo Heseiba lo. But if there's no Heseiba, it's not called a Suda. It's called as if you didn't sit down to a meal, so you're just in an anteroom. There's no kvias between you guys. We happen to be together. Mamela al that we say the Allah is that what That's the called echad mevarach la'atzmai. For the Gemara Kasha Erminu, we learned a brisa. Asorish hoyholchim baderech. There were 10 people walking. Afal bishukulam oichlem mikikar echad. Oh, they're all eating from one pita, for one bread. Very, it reminds you of a tiyul of Bachrim. Kulam oichlem mikikar achas. Echad ve'echad mevarach la'atzmai. If they're just walking and eating, he says, "Begin to oichel b'shuk." You're not sitting down to a meal. You're just, you're chopping bread and walking. Yoshvu le'echol, afal pi shekol echad ve'echad oichel, mikikrai echad mevarach lekula. Steht before that Yoshvu le'echol, echad mevarach lekula. Ktani Yoshvu, afal pi shelo Heseiba. So there's a concept Yoshvu le'echol, afal pi shelo Heseiba. It has it in the book to be a suda. So why did the Mishnah say dafke Heseiba? Amar Rav Nachman by Yitzchak, ki in the Amre, ki hadre, ki in the Amre, nezu anechel lachma b'doch plan. Let's go there and sit down and eat. Equal to the chatchila. Look, Rashi. What does this mean? So Rashi, let me find it here. B'mokem ploini shekavu lem b'tchila mokem b'dibur ve'etzer v'hazmana. They chatchila spoke and set aside a makom that they should eat. Okay, have a kvius. Avo yoshvu me'aleim, like you went to the you went with mazminit, set aside as a meal for you. Just want to go sit down and eat like you guys do in the lunchroom. I mean, you can care less who sits next to you. I mean, you do maybe, but there's no. You just want your food. You're not there to eat with other people. Okay. You weren't mizamah the makom for a suda for together. Of Yoshu Ma'aleh, but makom echad yachad ain't a kvius. So v'shtei dad ain't a chanami. Of course, what's an afkamina? And that's what we understood. They said Heseiba, lav dafke Heseiba. We see it's lav dafke Heseiba even with yeshiva. So he says no. He's saying no? There is a yeshiva which should also be kaveh. If the chatchil, the yeshiva is what's really kaveh is the azman and the das, which was beforehand. Slav dafki yeshiva. So what are we saying here? So we're going back to understand the Mishnah. The Mishnah, when it's talking about yashvu lechatchila, it's talking about sitting in the anteroom. They're not kaveh surya. They know that the meal will start when they lay down on their beds in the next room in the olu when they go up into the dining hall. Now they're just doing it. What do you call the shmog? They're walking around nashing with the ice sculpture and all the other stuff that you guys do. No one makes him a zoom in there. I'm a esdot in the suda shlema b'shaitoi. Afal pikein. No, there's no mezumah. There's no kvius. Okay, masha'enken, when you sit down, but this was sitting down at a bed. This is the halach. So we clearly see. I just want to see how we clearly see the idea of a sebu is the parallel of having a das to be mazmin and makim to put ourselves together. That's together of a sebu. In those times, without the sebu, that didn't happen. So it's more than obvious that that is a function of these were the minhagi asud of the Persians, which went through during the Tanoic period. During the Tanoic period, this was the Mtsuras Hasuda. This is what a proper meal was like. It were people which were obviously people which lived that way, okay? So this was what a meal was like. This obviously changes according to society. There's no, you don't have to be an illiterate to say this. It's a davar passion, okay? So I simply see this from these different halachas. I think that today people walk into a meal, even if they come late. We don't tell them that after the first course, you have to start manners and you leave. It's a different Surah Suda today. Things are totally different. That's obviously what Taishus means when Taishus says in Daf Mem Beis, Heseiba echad mevorach lekulam. Oh no, ein lanu Heseiba. Ela b'pas bilvad. We just, the pas alone is because that's when we have Heseiba. Pas ma'an, you have to believe Heseiba. The Davka l'didhu, she'ayu oichlin ba'Heseiba, ayu tzrichim Heseiba. El yeshiva shalanu ever kvius lanu k'Heseiba didu. When we sit down around the table with, obviously, to eat a family dinner or to have an affair, which are all there together, that's called yeshiva shalanu. L'chayra, does he mean to say that the yeshiva is the Heseiba? I mean, the yeshiva shalanu is like the das. It's like we said, boy now nick from a mukim plan. That's the question on the table. Pashas, he means yeshiva proper, because we meant to say it's like the das founded on the base. So what's the chiddush? That's even Bisman Talmud, when it wasn't in a Heseiba, there was a yeshiva, which was kaveh if they said with das. So obviously we're talking without das. Stomach, the milks of people getting together to sit around the table is called a kviyas today. That's the getter of the Suda. Now here's the question. Was this only a meaning of the upscale, or is this also, Aniyim also had the same thing? This is a question on the table. But Taishas alludes to the fact that Aniyim didn't have meat. That means they were always eating. The Aniyim never had a echad of l'kula. They never had a zimu. They never had din of echad of l'kula. Taishas seems to be saying when our mission says afilu anish Yisrael, and he means he doesn't have the furniture, the implication that stam anish Yisrael doesn't have this. But if it meant afilu ani Yisrael, that stam ani does have this, but this happens to be one guy that doesn't, the lashon would not be afilu ani Yisrael. Al Koch, Taishas took for granted there's a possibility of understanding that no, that stam ani Yisrael, stam ani Yisrael doesn't have this furniture. Is that really true? That's the shaila on the table. So l'chayra, I hate to say it doesn't seem to be so. Again, I want to show one more in the Kuda. You have in the sheets that I sent you a Mishnah in Ksubas in the fourth. We'll start with a, where is this thing? Here it is. We start with this, with a Mishnah in Ksubas in the fifth parak. It says as follows. Well, actually, I should first go to a Mishnah. Yeah. Mishnah in the fifth parak. That's more than enough. The Mishnah says, "Amashris ishtai de sholish." What happens sometimes? A person is not around and he has a chiyuv mezonos on his wife. He has to support her. That's an share ksus ve'oina. And if we hold this deraisa, share of his mezonos is different. Other people hold this rabbanon. That's already a shayla. Whatever it is, it's definitely a takon ksuba. If not, it's a deraisa mezonos. He has a chiyuv mezonos. Amashris ishtai de sholish. If he just set aside money by a third party, but not betrothed, that this person should take care of the mezonos of his wife. What does the Mishnah say? Lo yifrish la, he should not give her less than kabayim, chitim, etc. Describes how much food. Gregorius, mana devela. Then it says noisin la mita umapots. Im ein le mapots machzelis. He's got to give her a bed and a mapotz, okay? A mapotz is some kind of like a covering. It's a better covering. In ein lo mapotz, he doesn't have the first grade. He has to at least supply the second grade of covering over that mita. Now, which mita is this talking about? In context of the Mishnah, for goodness sakes, we're not talking about a mita to sleep. That's not the chiv of mezonos. We're talking here l'chayra about mezonos, means the mita of achila. This is the chayr davar pasha. So lemaisa, this is ganz mefurish. The lashon is in Mishnah Tes. It says, let me find it. Okay, so let's understand who this is about. Im ein lo, we're talking about a person which ein lo. Im ein lo, if he doesn't have a mita b'mapatz, he has to give a mita b'machzal. So we're talking about nani. The Mishnah is talking about somebody which can't afford a mapotz, and therefore you can give him even a machzal. So we're not exactly talking about upscale guy living on the Upper West Side or East Side. He can obviously afford a mapotz. The fact that he can't afford a mapotz, you can give him a cheap kind of thing from straw called a machzelis. He also is mechuyev in mita. The mefurish does some of the milsa that an onis mechuyev in zayin ishtoi is mechuyev lemaisa in a mita. This is the chayr davar pashut. Lemaisa, it's a davar pashut that the din is, what's the getter of ani here? So the chayr, the getter, it also says mefurish. Let's see if I can find it here. Let me find it here. Yeah, look at the end of the Mishnah. The end of the Mishnah says, "Bamed dvar mamurim, but ani should be Yisrael." The ani should be Yisrael has to give this amount of food plus a mita with a mapitz or a machzelis. Ava b'mechubad. It's interesting to see the antithesis is between ani versus mechubad. Was meint das? Ani versus mechubad. I understand ani versus usher. Was meint ani versus mechubad? So we obviously understand here that the idea of ani doesn't mean to say just a poor man, even a person which is in terrible dire straits. And I'll explain this in a minute. Why do I know what the idea is? Ani, which already has no kavod atzmi. That's the getter. He has no sense of self. He's living, he's like what you would call homeless or something like that. He's living in a cardboard box. That versus mechuba. Now, how do I know this to be true? I want to show you the Mishnah beginning of Heseiba. In Baba Kama, the Mishnah in Baba Kama, in the beginning of Heseiba, the Mishnah says, when you mavayish somebody with chavala, so how do you pay? It depends what the stature of the mavayish is and what the stature of the mizbayish is. So the Mishnah says weiter over there in Heseiba. In Mishnah Gimel it says as follows: Heseiba be'evid knani shel acherim chayiv bekula. And Nezik Tsar Ripu Shevis and Baishis. So the Mishnah of Yudah Aimer ain't la avodim Baishis. The person which is an Eved doesn't have Baishis. That's a cloud. Then the Gemara goes down, Mishnah goes down further, Mishnah Vav, and says as follows. Atakel Chaverai, no send no sela. If you don't Mishum Besak, Lili Mana, Sasra, if you slapped him nicely, Matayim Zuz, etc., etc. Hakoy lefich vayday means to say lechar the difference between whether you're a mechubed or not a mechubed. It's all Rabbi Akiva, Amar Rabbi Akiva. Afilu aniyim shebi Yisrael roim oison ki'ilu hem bnei chayrin sheyardu min chasei. So we see the concept of mechubed means to say a ben chayrin. Afilu aniyim she Yisrael that they are poor as church mice. Yet we see them as bnei chayrim, which they can't afford anything anyway. We don't say that since they're so low, they're called not mechubad. No, they're called bnei chayrim. They're free men equal to inherent kavod. Elamai, they can't afford a lifestyle. As they state the first in the Mishnah. Afirei and Isa ki'ilu heim bnei chayrim. What do you mean ki'ilu heim bnei chayrim? That means even if now he sold himself in Abdus, the poor guy. Okay, he sold himself in Abdus. He sold as a slave. He can't afford anything. He's called a ben chayrin shiyard min achasa, because he has inherent freedom. This is, you understand, but this is all comes from Leil Pesach. You have to understand that. That's the Mishnah in Heseiba. Why? Because Shein bnei Avram Yitzchak v'Yaakov. We're the Balei Abris, therefore we're bnei chayrin, and therefore Mamela. Therefore, this is the Maisha. The Gemara there elaborates. It's a Reb Shimon and Reb Meir. Let me just go to the Gemara for a moment. It's the beginning of Heseiba. Let me find it for a moment. The end of the parak it should be. Here it is. Just 1 second. No, it's before. Before that. Here it is. Pevav. Baishes are called Lefiyam Avayisham is Baish. Dr. Gemara Masnit and Laker of Meir Valera Beautiful of Shimon. The Snam we learned in the Mishnah. V'chulan Ryan Oisa Kilahem B'nei Chayrin Shiyod Ben Chaseyim Shem Avram B'nei Avram Yitzchak v'Yaakov Diver Reb Meir. The Beautiful we'll let that one go. Shimon Eimer Ashirim Ryan Oisa Kilahem B'nei Chayrim Shiyod Ben Chaseyim Aniyim Kipchusim Shabem. Plus, the machlekes is one thing at all. Either b'chlal stature, either status of money b'chlal in Klal Yisrael. As far as all Jews, according to Reb Shimon, are equal, we're all inherent bnei chayim, and nobody's money means anything. The fact that we're all bnei chayim is the big equalizer as far as dinei busha is concerned by Klal Yisrael. Okay, Mashenk and according to Reb Meir, it means to say you're no more an Ebed, you're a Ben Chayrim, but there's Bnei Chayrim which have money. And then there is differences between that. That's a machlekes. Does money make anything as stature as far as busha for Klal Yisrael is concerned? I want to. It's a very interesting machlekes. You can understand yourself. At the end of the day, what we have is another pashut that the word ani is a shem narrative, is a student to a person which is mechusar but he's probably nimka as an evet. He's the opposite of what you call a ben chayr. That's what you're talking about. And what's the Mishnah? What do we say halacha that by Klal Yisrael even aniyim shem have a din and a covet of neichayr? Why do I say that? Because Eina Chanami, did the aniyim have, so to speak, sit on mitos or didn't they sit on mitos? That's the real question on the table. Did they sit on mitos or not sit on mitos? We just learned the Mishnah in Ksubas that Eina Chanami, even the ani is supposed to supply his wife with a mita. Le'echol. Okay, I'm going to show this mafurish. The Mishnah says in Erchin, it's in the 6th parak, in the last parak of the Mishnah of Shema Yisrael, in the 6th parak, the 3rd Mishnah. The person which made a neder of Erchin. Erki alai. So the Gizber of Hegdish goes into his house, and and you collect the collateral. You have to collect something to be able to collect it from. So the din is, there's things we don't take away from him. Nice and lay mazah and shleishim yaim. We give a muzzin of shleishim yaim. Ksus shtemesir chaydish. We have clothes for shtemesir chaydish. Umita umatza, with sandalov, with tefillah. Loy, avoloy leishtayu banu. Now, which mita is this talking about? This is the question on the table. Which mita is this Mishnah Erchin talking about? So everybody ever learned about Metzia. There's a big sugya called Nesadrin Lebal Chayv. How do we collect the people which don't pay their bills? We go in there and we take we take whatever they own, right? And we have some kind of a system of how much we collect and what we don't collect. So basically, the Gemara says in Hamakabel in Kufyat Gimel and Bezim Bab Metzia. I hope you just look this up. It says as follows: B'chutz tamoid va'ish tanya idach ba'alchayv sheba lemashkenoi. We give a muzzin Okay, big difference. If you're balchayv, you wait outside. You shliach bezin, you go inside. State in the Gemara, you don't take from him things which he needs for what you call oichel nefesh. Now, oichel nefesh is, we know, from Yom Tov mitzvahs this dvorim and tzorchel nesuda. Okay, the difference between meleches oichel nefesh, whether it's meleches malacha, the Ramban here, that means things which are need for achanas asuda. What are they? Nice and mita umatzah la'ashir, mita umapatz la'ani. Let's make mita umita. That's Rashi. Mita lekam mefresh echad lecho ve'echad lishon. Rashi after north it's on first to the Gemara. Gemara the kasher lamali, tarta lamali, chadu the ocha ale, v'chadu the zagale. So he understands one is to eat, the one is to sleep. Taisus lemaisa and Subas thinks differently. He thinks it means there's one to eat and one after the meal to rest, not after to sleep. We're not even talking about sleeping. All tzorchei suda. That's a Taisus and Subas. Whatever stomach the Gemara Rashi that an Anishabi Yisrael had a mita leishavo. He did a Heseiba. That's what I'm trying to say. The Anishabi Yisrael, since he's inherently a ben chayrin, he was noyig like a ben chayrin. I'm trying to say. As the people which are not neicher, not mechobadim, were not noig, this didn't start. So the year we see from the Gemaras that even Istam Anish Yisrael saw himself as nobility, which has lost his money, and every act of the nobility in the Sirs Hasud, and he ate Heseiba. And he had a mita lishon, and definitely had a mita leisev Allah. You have to understand, according to I don't know how many people say the Rebbeinu Shalom. After Shalom Aleichem, there's a song, right? It's Laktius Neirais. I forgot how it goes. We know this is a Gemara in Shabbos. I don't know the song too well, but I know a Gemara in Shabbos. Gemara says in Shabbos, Rabbi Yosef Bar Yehuda Eimer Shnei Malachei Hashos Malavin LeAdam Be'ev Shabbos Bebeis HaKnesset LeBeisai Echad Toiv Echad Ra. Did you know that? Uksheba LeBeisai Umatza Ner Dalu V'Shulchan Aruch Umitosei Mutzas. You think it means the beat that to sleep on? More the kula alma. What's it got to do with anything? You prepared already your bed for sleeping. This yeshivish bed. No, it's a davar pashut that every person has a mita mutzas to eat on. You don't have to explain things which are obvious, okay? I'm trying to say this was the minig of Kol Klal Yisrael, including Aniyim. That's what I'm trying to say. And that's some of the Mishnayos. This is Lamaisa also on the Tosefta in Shabbos in the 13th period. May I make a comment? This is not to know too much. It's just what you're supposed to learn and you're supposed to finish material. Well, I'm pointing out, you don't get this on Google. I want you to understand. This you got to just do nothing. Just you had a good chair, good table, good candle, good library. Sit. That's all. Big fellas. Now you're all stuck at home. You can finish 5 Masechtas. Steht in Tosefta in the 13th parak of Shabbos in Brisa Yotes, it discusses there as far as Achana Mishabbos l'Chol and Mishabbos l'Shabbos. So it says there in the Tosefta, Asara Kaisis, you can wash. We're very making in glasses, right, on Shabbos to wash them after the meal. Because we do. Asara Kaisis. Shim Yitzah Lishtas Be'echem man. Maybe I don't know, maybe 10 cups of tea, so you can already wash 10 glasses per person. So you understand, we're doing well. That's why we're making after the Shabbos meal to wash glasses. I don't know if you do. I'm an istinus. I do. Okay? Nothing stated in the Tosefta, Matzin Eser Mitos. What do you think it's for Shluchten? She'im Yitzah Mesa Be'echad, man. We never found a Lashon of Heseiba by Shluchten. We find it by Achila. So once again, doesn't say anywhere. It's only for Ashirim, not La'aniyim, to stomach the Tosefta. Against this is Biasa Bekutcha. I don't know how to say it in the simplest way possible. It's a davar pashut. Every Jew ate by Heseiba, and that's the tzurah kvias asuda. And every Yoni had it too. And Tosfos is a tzurah iyun gadol. I do not know the miyashiv this Tosfos. The Tosfos knew whatever I know. Tosfos knew much more. Okay, this is a joke. This is just knowing a little daf yomi yidiyos. They knew it like for real. So it's the davar pashut. The Tosfos is a tzurah iyun gadol. How can Tosfos tell me if you unshiv Yisrael? The Eila Amala Hoseb state first. The Stam Oni has a mita, maybe 2 mitas, okay, and etc. What are we talking about? And Ha'ai L'Chayri is not a Ben Chayri. He's not a dire straits. No, every Jew is a Ben Chayri. That's why I bought you the Mishnah Nachayvel. You put it all together. It's a davar pashut. The Stam Yid had Kviyas Suda with Heseiba. That's the Nakuda I wanted to be clarifying. I think it's pushed in with the nails. Okay, now that we have that, let's go back to where we're holding. Okay. So in Mela, we understand that that's the getter of Heseiba. We pointed out it's also in the Mikra that way, but that's the getter of Heseiba. The getter of Heseiba, according to that, when the Mishnah said, stop. Lo yacha achi yesif. Now read Mishnayos in context of all the Mishnayos and Brises that we've learned. And in context of all the Lashonis, see, our problem is we think of Heseiba automatically as we think of ourselves leaning this way or that way. No. Look at Lashonis of Mishnayos and Tosefta of Heseiba. What does it mean? Sit down to a Suda Kvua.
What does the actual word mean? Does it mean around or does it mean like reclining?
Well, it's interesting because the Unkelos translates it every istachrar. Istachrar, which means, and the Yoruch explains Milosh Mesiba, it means because they used to lay down on couches in a circular form because they used to face each other. Lahasev means to recline. Now they used to recline on a bed. Did you ever go on? I don't know if you know any Greek art, but when this is over, you should go to Museum HaMikra in Yerushalayim, and you'll see a lot of these artifacts which have people laying down on beds. I mean, you must have read Megillas Esther, right? Mitoy Zahav V'Chesed. You think they were sleeping there all day? What was the yeshiva dormitory? They were drinking wine all day. They were eating all day. Okay, and I mean, you did that. The Persians taught us how to eat. They ate in style. There was even a minhag in Yerushalayim, it's put down in another interceptor. Lieberman explained this, that they used to write the menu on, when the interceptor says that they used to put the sardine up, okay, you know what was written on it? They used to make pictures of what's on the menu. It was like a menu board before a restaurant. So I used to make picture of what's on the menu in order for a person to know this is what's going to be here. And if it's not good for you, if allergies, don't join. So when they took it down, that means, okay, everybody okayed the menu. Now we can take it down. That's what happened. What did it say? The sardine was up, you can still walk in. As soon as the sardine is down, you can't walk in anymore. That means the menu has already been finalized. Everyone's in. Goodbye. Just want you to know, very interesting customs they had of Suda and those days. Can we get back to here now? Okay? So this is Heseiba. So when you read the Mishnah, what does it mean? Afilu anishib Yisrael. Means to say, literally, it just says we saw the Mishnah is there. Afilu anishib Yisrael, which l'chayri is not a ben chayri. Which l'chayri, what is that? When we say afilu anishib Yisrael, what do you mean? He was the ahepach of mechubad. That's the lashon of the Mishnah is in Ksubis. Afilu shanim Yisrael, the Mishnah says in Ksubis or in Babakama, as opposed to someone which is mechubad. That's the Mishnah in Babakama. Now we understand the pshat. Aniv Yisrael is used in context of lahepach of the person which is mechubad. What does this mean? Because normally he's like hired out. He's totally ba'acherim. He's not mechubed. We would have think for him lav dafka Heseiba. No, also he is a ben chayrin. But etzem, this is based on that memory of Rabbi Akiva because he's there from Mitzvah Yaakov. Therefore, he is a ben chayrin. He does Heseiba as he does all year. So what's the chiddush of this Mishnah? The Chiddush of Mishnah, first of all, that every ani in the lowest place is also ben chayrin. So the Chiddush of the Mishnah is the parallel to the Mishnah in Babakam of Rabbi Akiva. And the member of Reb Meir and Reb Shimon and Babakama, that even Aniyim She Yisrael are like Ashim as far as Busha is concerned. Why? Because the Zerah from Mitzvah Yaakov. I'm just paralleling Lashonis Tanoim with Mishnayis without going into that. There's no Chachma here. Once you understand the language, it's pashut. Okay, that's the finish of the Mishnah. That Filush Anishib Yisrael, which L'chari inherently seems to be loy mechubad, is in a very bad place. He has inherent kavod, and since he's an adam mechubad, he's expected to act as an adam mechubad, and therefore eat a suda kvua. Notice he shouldn't look at himself as a piece of dirt. Excuse me. Why do you let me go with suda kvua? I'm going to sit on a mita. I have no patience for this. I'm just going to, walk around on a stool and just nash and eat a bit. No. Sit down to a suda kfur. So there's two halachas here. Allah is that the suda of Leil Pesach has to be a suda kfur. Not the halacha, not the ikra. It has to be a suda kfur. Shiesir is nothing more than a synonym to mean to say there has to be a suda kfur, which normally is only for bnei chayrin, which is the opposite, equals misheyesh lekavod, or as the lashon of Rambam is. Kederach hagedolim, bnei chayrim hagedolim, chashiv bnei chayrim. Okay, so we would have thought that I don't feel chashiv anymore. So what do you tell? We tell them the Mishnah of Rebbe Kiva and Achayvel, you are chashiv. That's the chayrim. That's Mishnah is what's Nimmers and Rashi and in Rashbam. They don't make the story of the furniture. They say the chiddush is in the ani. So yesterday I said the chiddush may be doimit to a talmud that's a rabbi. Now I say it's much better. It's mamish bring me the Mishnah and Achayvel. That's the chiddush of this Mishnah, that every person shouldn't look themselves. It's a big chizuk. Don't look at yourself as a nobody. You are nobility, which you can't afford. So many stories there are of poor nobility, which marry rich in order to live a lifestyle. So you don't have to marry anybody. You are poor nobility. And nobility should act nobly, and therefore you should be eating by Heseiba with Sudas K'vos. That's the get of this halacha. Lafuke, that you don't eat the matzah and the morah and the Pesach, or the matzah and the Pesach. You don't eat b'chlal. Nonchalantly. The Sudas Arai. What's the difference in the Suda K'vua? It's called the Sudas Arai. Achi what happens if you eat? If there are people together, you should be eating as one. Okay, what happens if you eat alone? There's a psalach you have to eat with somebody else. The Teretz says because Asaba makes it a Sudas is a Tviyah Suda, as we saw. That the Gemara says sometimes yeshiva can make a suda kfur if hypothetically you're kaveh b'dasu b'dibur b'azmana. Okay, so what we're saying here, the surah of a sudas kvuah of anashim chashuvim was not yashvu and das, it was hasava. And that's what Chazal want us to do. To be kaveh a suda kvuah through Heseiba. That's the getter of the Allah. Okay, so that's the chayr what we have here. And according to that, we now understand, as I mentioned yesterday, that the Brisa, which takes this Mishnah and limits it to matzah and havamina mora and besek mora or not, and doesn't even mention the chatchila kaisos, and only Rav Nachman says kaisos, which is quite late. But by matzah it was a davar pashit. The Teretz says, well, it be a sibakut, and it can't be enough community rights or rabbanon. We have to understand that. So it's interesting to now to understand. It means suda michuyevs. When it comes to suda michuyevs, why dafki didn't we think kaisis? We'll describe suda. Okay, I'll describe that shortly. It's a din of suda michuyevs. Eating has to be done this way. Eating has to be done this way. And we can't say there's no idea of Heseiba b'yayin because the portion that they septa and the Mishnah is that there is. After Heseiba, so they gave them wine. If you read it, I read the septa with you. So the yayin is also yayin. Pesachis HaSeuda is also part of the Suda, which echad mevorach lekula, the portion that they septa. So the you can't just say there's no eating and drinking. On to septa state, there is no difference. So that we have to understand what is unique about the yayin. Whatever it only be, this is the getter of the mission. This is the pshat in the Rambam when the Rambam writes that the ikar, the suda, that the chiyuv is the ma'isa, just the matzah and the kaisis, not mentioning the afikomen. What's the getter? Why not the afikomen? And the answer is quite simple, because the ikar hasuda is not that last matzah. It may be a choshev, part of the mitzvah of what the ikar of the suda is the first matzah. And therefore, lav dafka afikomen, Rambam holds afikomen doesn't need Heseiba. Heseiba is the idea of the suda, of that which is the ikar hasuda. The ikar hasuda is achila mechayeves, which gives a tzur of the suda. Eating an extra piece of matzah at the end, in order that the tam matzah should stay beficha, as the lashon Rambam is, that which is only because it didn't hit her mitzvah. That's not ikar hasuda. I say this specifically because the ma'aser of Mefurish Rashbam. The Rashbam writes, okay, I'm going to show a brisa shortly, and we'll understand that. That's the chayr, the pshat in that halacha. Now, I'd like to show this Mefurish in Yerushalmi. I sent you at the time a photo of a Yerushalmi. I'm going to read the Yerushalmi. Now it's in Arvib Psachim. Here in the Arvib Psachim, in the Perik Asiri of Psachim, the first halacha, the second page in Tfus Vilna. And it writes as follows. Amar Reb Levi. If you should derech avodim liyas eichlin me'umad, v'kan liyas eichlin mesubin. So the opposite of mesubin is me'umad, because in the dining hall, no one was sitting on a chair anymore. Remember, where did they sit on sapsalim? What did we learn that they sat in bracha? The sapsalim were only in the anteroom, in the small hall before, where they had their hors d'oeuvres or whatever it only be. Once you went into the meal, there were no benches or chairs. There were either only the people that were serving, which were standing, and there were the people which were eating, which were on couches. You have to be able to put these halachas in a historical context, and it makes so much sense. It says something beautiful. So he says, that the avodim mean to say, think of a Roman feast, think of the slaves. Okay, the guys that would walk around, with the feathers and the fans and the flutes, whatever they were doing there, and the people that were serving, they were mu'umad. They wouldn't dare stand in front of royalty or nobility, sit in front of royalty and nobility. It was perceived as a chutzpah. So what do we know? The derech avadim liyas eichlin me'umad b'kan liyas eichlin mesubim. It's a davar mavura that we're talking about. Loidia, sheyatzu mi'avdus l'cheres. So what's he doing? He's paralleling it to common custom at the time. Common custom at the time had avadim ba'omad, and the bailim and the bnei chayrim were mesubim. we are supposed to act as Bnei Chayrin of the common time, at the time of the Mishnah, etc., and do the same thing. And Heseiba was not some kind of a zeicher of the past. Heseiba was normal. I hate to say it, I have a shtickle problem with Rashi. What Rashi is doing when he's saying zeicher lecherus, what does he mean by zeicher lecherus? That was no, it means zeicher lecherus. It means although you're not a ben chayrim, you're an eved, you're an ani, you're not mechubad, but you have to do zeicher to the cheres because since you're from mitzvah young with your grandfather and you left Egypt, you have to make sure to eat that way. L'maisa, that was Bisman Mishnah. Everybody ate Heseiba. The ani ate Heseiba. So what does Rashi mean that you're eating it? Bisman Mishnah zeicher lecherus. It means that although you would have thought that you're in bad place, I don't want to eat a meal now. I'm just going to eat the chveismas nash. No, because of zeicher lecherus. Although you're a downtrodden person, sit down and have a proper meal because of zeicher lecherus. The sudak vua through Heseiba is what's mischai because of zeicher lecherus. That's the agdora, and that's what you also see in this Yerushalmi. Lefisha derech avodim li'is oichlim ma'umad. That's the opposite of Heseiba. V'kan oichlim mesubim lo'idiyah shiyatzim avs lecherus. This is the Chayre Gans Mefurish. This seems to be a double pashut. According to this, the Chayre, one would honestly say that Bisman Hazeh, there's no, the Suda Kfua is not done through Heseiba at all. No one does it. Okay? So what is the position that we sit in, which would be called a Suda Kfua? Well, it's very hard. A Suda Kfua, an important meal. So Lamais, it's a famous Ravon, which the Maril brings, that was also the Dasar Ben Sholem. And the Maril brings this, and who else brings that? The drum brings this Ravon. Ravon is himself the Psachim, and he writes as follows: Any Yetzidei Matzah Ella ba'oichla ba'aseiba ala shulchan. He holds his ma'akev in matzah. V'chein dal kaiset tzichim aseiba. Avamora ein tzarech aseiba. Ve'ema yunaygim leishev al abitais. V'lohasei ba'aseiba smoil. The leishev here is not exactly means sitting. It means they were reclining and laying. Anybody go to the museum and see it. Okay? Ba'aseiba small. Aval anu she'ein anu regilim b'kach yotzim anu kederech hasiboseinu. So you would think it means go this way or that way. He adds the words ve'ein lintosh yamin oishmail. Don't suddenly swerve to the right or to the left. Sit like a human being. So what's kaver for us a suda? How would do? And now the Mais's grandson, the Rav Yor Patins at Medina, Rav Yor writes clearly in Hilchos Peso, Bisman Hazeh she'en regilas ba'artzeinu la'aseh, she'en regilas bnei choyrin la'aseh. Where's that lashon coming from? That's playing off the lashon of the Yerushalmi. The lashon of the Yerushalmi was der chavodim la'amod and der bnei choyrin la'aseh. He says Bisman Hazeh today is in contemporary world. It's not there bnei choyrin la'aseh. So what's it in? We don't. He follows his grandfather's ruling that we don't do Heseiba at all. Now, what do we do? It's very clear what we do. Once we understand the Geder Heseiba is halacha of how to make a Suda Kfua, make it into a formal meal, what would be the parallel of making it into a formal meal by us? The answer is, once again, we all sit together around a table with proper chairs, not with stools. When you're at a proper dinner, you usually have a decent chair with two arms at the side, comfortable. When you go to a real restaurant, not one of those things that you have in New York. When you go, if you could eat in the Ritz, you can't. But if you could eat in the Ritz, then you would see what it looks like. You walk in, you have a proper chair with good, put your arms on, and you're comfortable. That would be the Geder of Heseiba Bisman Hazeh, according to the Rabban and according to the Rav Yah, and according to the Avedram, and according to the Maril. Okay, that l'chayr with the Geder of Heseiba. Whatever it would be, we definitely have to be choishish to it. Because at the moment, I have no basic understanding of what the idea of reclining is. This way of the lintos, the tzad yamin is smart. He already points out, the Rabban already points out when he says "V'lein lintos yemina u'smal," implying that there were people who thought that you could be Mekayim Heseiba by lintos yemina u'smal. Otherwise, what's his lashon? When he says we do kidech Heseiba, saying "V'lein lintos yemina u'smal," ich verstehe nicht. Heseiba is not sitting on a chair and going like this. Heseiba is laying down, as we learned the Gemara. You lay down on your friend's lap. It's on a bed. Doing this, what are you doing? Garnished. Somehow we understood there were people that were Mekayim Heseiba by lintos yemina b'smoila. And the question is, you have to say b'smoil, not to say b'shemin. But the idea, they thought the idea is going like this. And he said, you don't have to do that either. What does this mean? How do these people understand? And obviously, they took the idea of Heseiba. They took the Rav Yod that were not laying on couches. And they took the idea of, so to speak, that only the free man obviously expresses his freedom, not just by having a formal meal, but also feeling very comfortable by having a nice backrest and a good arm, put his arm on. That's obviously what this custom is. It's an amalgamation of taking the Ravan and taking the step further, as opposed to the Ravan says that once we do it, I would say, ain't lintais yamin usmail. Our minig is keravan agnitin smaila. Now, where does this come from? If it's not, this is not a Heseiba of the Gemara in any fashion, form, or size. So what is it? It means to say you're sitting in a formal setting, you have a decent back, and you have an armchair, and somehow you want to show comfort, which is more kedech hagdalim b'chayrim, by leaning on your left. So in other words, this would be the way to do it, not to whatever people do would make no sense. That definitely wouldn't perceive that it's true Kvias Asuda. I say this again because I saw in a very prominent Agada, Chidushim of Igaber Rabba B'Yoser, Zechayna Levracha, that he used to switch his chair around and he didn't sit with the back. The back was open, he said, and he kneeled on his head on the top of the chair. I hate to say it. The way I understand things, he was Mekayim the Heseiba the Ravon. Not even that. Because that's not Kedech Heseiba Seinu. You don't sit on a stool. When you take away the back, it's not a Heseiba at all. No one goes to a formal dinner Kaveh Suda when you have a stool without a backrest. And you need more than that. You obviously want to be able to feel comfortable, but to take the comfort side, especially if it's too high and you're like this, I don't think this is even a Heseiba to begin with. So I'm going to say it again. Don't switch your chairs around. Sit, hope to get yourself a chair with the back, hopefully with an armrest. And if not, get a small chair or something that you should be able to lean on if you want for comfort. But it should look like a comfortable chair, not like some odd, there's no idea of being tilted. That's only the tower in Pisa. There's no real basic mucker for this. I want us to understand that. That's a very, 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 very important understanding of the Gedera Heseiba. I'm afraid I've maybe overturned Kama Minhagim and Havanas, but who cares? It's been Zmanim, so I do this terrible Shema. This seems to be, if you learn the Sugya b'Makaira, it seems to be a Biyasa b'Kutva. I'm trying to say that although we paskin Heseiba of Smoil, we do, we argue with the Ravan, but it has to be based on the Ravan and taken it a step further. But just laying down the left side over there like a slab, this is garnished. It's nothing. That's not the Agdor. Okay, now you know this. We're going to take this, obviously, a step further, and that is as follows. The Brisa says in Psachim, it says as follows. Before I go further, okay, I can show it even now. The Maisa, what we're saying is the Maisa Taisvus. The Gemara discusses in Daf Kuf Ches that we know that Matzah Tzorach Heseiba and Mora Ein Tzorach Heseiba Yayin. Itmem B'Shmeder of Nachman Tzorach Heseiba, this is quite late, for goodness sakes. Itmem B'Shmeder of Nachman Ein Tzorach Heseiba. So it's a Chiddush of Reb Nachman. Kum tells that before Reb Nachman, that is Reb Nachman telling us something in the past would be Mechadish on his own. This I can't prove. But it seems to be saying there was lack of clarity of custom. And the Gemara tries to basically reconcile the two members equal. There must have been two different Masorah, or whatever it's called there, of Rav Nachman. And they say, oh, Bekasi Kamoy, oh, Bekasi Basroi. Amele Lahai Gisa, Lahai Gisa, Lahai Gisa, Trey Kasi Kamoy, Boy Heseiba. The Hash, the U, the Kamatzcha, Lacheirus, the two first cups. You need Heseiba. Why? Because now Cheirus is starting. So you're going to feel the Cheirus. And therefore, you should express your kviyas, so you're in the eye. Trey Basa Basroi, that's already finished. Maida Hava. It's old news. We had our crescendo. We were all the way up there in the peak of feeling Cheirus. Now it's already old news to us. Once we did a regular meal, we stopped the drama of the Agada. All of a sudden, we fell down from that peak. Now it's Maida Hava. Freedom is taken for granted. So Taisa has a kash on this. So Taisa Divamaslo Maida Hava. Shekvar Amr Geula Lifnei Suda. You said Gal you saw before the Suda. So Mela, you're ready, you had your peak and now you went down. But matzah needs a seiba, and it's also after Gal Yisrael. How does that work? Well, like Omer Maida Hava, and we don't say what it means. What are you gonna do a seiba for now? Maida Hava. You already passed the great idea of the Geula. What's the big deal? Shani matzah shu ikir suda yoysim yayin. Why is matzah different? We don't care. Maida Hava because of what? Because who ikir suda koydem yayin. More than yayin. What does that mean? How does one read that Taisus? You probably saw it. Doshtet Mefurish and Taisus, everything we said. It would seem to be that the mechayiv of matzah is not affected by your emotional feelings. It's because it's ikar asuda, and the din of Heseiba is a din of being prepared, the suda, it's fears. So obviously there has to be the pas. That's ikar asuda, there's no question about it. The ikar din of the Mishnah is daf hab masuda kvua. Or maybe the suda's kvua is kaver with pas. That's zikr. No one's asking that question. There's no maida hava. Okay? Now, somehow this includes also the chatril. We thought it meant the morer. And it's another pashut because midiraisa, we know that matzah and morer are supposed to go together. Al matzah and morer yechlua. Two psukim. One pasuk is Sliesh al matzos u'merim yechlua. The other one's Sliesh u'matzos al merim yechlua. Okay, whatever it is, and we'll do that another shir. So obviously we thought that matzah, that the source of suda, you don't just eat bread, you eat bread with salad. I mean, what Lamat Lamaisa was the korban pesach. If it was one of your shawarma sandwiches, you had a pita. Did you ever see a Sephardi piece matzah? It's soft like a pita. Okay. And you put in the vegetables, and you put in the meat, and that's what you eat. It's what you guys pick up at Masov and Tachanam Merkazit in Jerusalem. That's what we eat. That's the Maisa, what it's supposed to look like. So maybe we understood there's no Pesach Bismanas there, so we understood the Mora would have been part of it. That's the tzura of how we ate the Suda. The Suda was not bread alone. It was bread and Mora. And the answer is no, we don't. That I understand. But we'll come to the yayin, obviously it's part of the Suda, and Ikar Adin as far as Suda Kvur Echad Mavarach L'Kvim by yayin also, but the Mechayiv is not that. It means to say that as far as there's no din dafka of Suda, Suda doesn't have to be nikva ala yayin as far as Dalit Choshis are concerned. There would be a difference between the first cup and the other three. We're not going in there at the moment. That would take me back to the Suda of Kiddush Makom Suda, which I will not do today. But this is what he says basically. The Suda, Ikar Suda is called the Nechem. I'm going to add also the Morer, but definitely not the Yayin. Yayin is also part of the Suda. So it's not Ikar HaSuda K'may Alechem. So what does that mean to say? Therefore, what's he saying? The Mechayiv of Matzah, why do I say it? Is Mitzvah's Matzah? Or is it because that's Ikar HaSuda? Statement Furish and Taisvus. The Mechayiv Heseiba is not the Mitzvah of Matzah. It's as much as there's a chiyuv to eat. That's called suda mechuyeves. That is the halach has to be kavua. It's halach in tzuras suda. It's a mefurish taisus. Mefurish taisus also that as far as wine is concerned, that's another din Heseiba. And when it said in the Mishnah, Yosef Achi Yoichel, it didn't mean the wine. And the Yoichel meant Dafka, the Chiddush of Abu Qais is the Chiddush of Rav Nachman. And that's not because Ikra Suda, the din of Heseiba by Yain is not a din of Suda Kua. What is the din of Heseiba by Yain? That's a din of Derech Chavish. Why? Because Abu Lashon is Shagula. So there's two dinim in Heseiba. There is a Heseiba, which is the din Ikra Suda, and that was a Biyasibah Kutcha. To say that there's also a din Heseiba, something which is not Ikar Asuda, there we need the idea of how do you feel about it. There's a kind of Maida Hava. You're expressing a certain feeling. That is something, it's a subjective reality. What do you feel? Okay, do you feel Geula? Do you feel, you have to feel Geula to drink. There's no din of feeling Geula by matzah. Adar, if you really want to know, Pashtus is the getter of Achilas Matzah is a getter of Achilas Anius. It's a mefurish taisus Psachim. Yeah, it's a very nice Masechta, by the way. The Gemara said, the Mishnah says in 1 minute. Okay, Rick. 1 minute. This 1 minute. Truma, Mafreya, who's the Mishnah Dorten? 1 minute. Oh, this is the Mechunia. Who's the Mishnah from the written page? Just 1 minute. Where's the Mishnah of what we make matzah from? Just 1 minute. Here it is. Okay, very good. Kosher. Mishnah says that in Daf Lamed Hey Psachim, Elu Dvarim She'odem Yitzrem Chayvasa BePesach. And it says there, we're Yitzah also with Demai. Now you're a rich man. You're not allowed to eat Demai. We discussed this one before. Demai is for you is usher. The Gemara says, why are you allowed to eat Demai? The Gemara says in Lamed Hey Amid Beis Psachim, Demai, Holei Chazile. You're not allowed to eat Demai. Even the boy mafker lenichse, if hypothetically he could be mafker all his nechasim, then he would be an ani v'oichel Demai. Hashtanami Chazile. What does that mean? No, if I would have done, if my grandmother had wheels, I would have made her into a bus company. I would have taken you all to Haifa. What do you mean? If I would have been mafkir my nechasim, I would have been poor. Therefore, now that I'm rich, I can also. You can't eat the mai when you're rich. So Taisus has an interesting take on this. So Taisus yotzim b'dmai. Anybody have the Gemara open? It's worth seeing it. Mesupik Iboy remember yoytze dafka di'eved. Kid amrina and hoyel mafkir l'nifsib chatzolei. Imakam adayin lo mafkilu. So it's only b'di'eved. Inami yoytze afne chatchila. Why? Hoyel b'shari l'aniyim. V'achilas matzah nami nikra achilas anyus. What's the pshat in Taisvis? It's an unbelievable Taisvis. Taisvis says the heter is not la'aniyim. The heter is la'achilas aniyus. The heter of Jemai is not a din in the gavra. I don't want to sounds terrible to use that word. Okay? It's not a halacha that Mr. X is exempt. A meal of poverty is not included in the restriction of Jemai. The Isser Achila is not Achilas Achila, which is not defined by Achilas Aniyus. It doesn't matter what you have, what you don't have. Where would be a nafkamina? Nafkamina would be, but the Gemara says that a balabai, Mishnah and Peah, we learned that in Baba Kama, Jake, you should remember this. Right? Balabai, sha'elech mimakim lamakim, and now he has no cash flow, so what's it then? The machlekes or blazer rabbanon, can he take like a chick to pay it? Does he have to pay it back or not? The blazer says, Oni oya ba'isa shah, rabbanon disagree. Granted, as far as dinner mom and aniyim, he may be called an oni. But if a man has nothing what to eat, he can be an usher day to the mai. Can he take the mai or can't he take the mai? It's a bias of bekutcha from this taisha they can take the mai. Because that's definitely defined as achilas anius. In other words, here there won't be a machlekes or blazer, but there won't be any shaila here. He can take the mai with no question at all, because he may not be an oni. And therefore, Abundant hold that he has to pay it back. Okay? It's a heter. We give him from my Oni, the Aniyim are malda him the most, but he has to give it back. According to the Abundant, it's a silica, the Isra of Gezel Aniyim. You're not an Oni. But Nachilus Aniyus, it definitely is. Okay? This is a Chiddush Gadol of Taisvus, that the heter of Zmai is Achilus Aniyus. Matzah is inherently defined as Achilus Aniyus. When we say, not Kiholach Ma'anya, but Holach Ma'anya, we are defining the matzah as Achilles Anius. And this Achilles Anius describes the Achilles Anius that we ate when we walked out of Egypt, granted. But it is defined as an Achilles Anius. We walked out of Egypt, we didn't have fluffed up bread, we had Achilles Anius. And there was a reason for it, but that's the getter of the Geula. The Geula was expressed with Achilles Anius. That's the definition here. I want to put this on the table. So this is the getter of the halacha. As far as that's concerned, so adrabah, one would almost say it's just like Murr is about the tragedy. This is this is not a cheirus be'etzim. It's achilas aniyus. The teretz doesn't matter. It's ikra suda. So even if matzah is achilas aniyus k'mavur b'taisvus, we're not going to say no. It's achilas aniyus. Maybe it doesn't pass for Heseiba. The answer is no. It's ikra suda. That's another pasha. The mechayiv is not because it's achilas ashirus, because it's achilas aniyus, but what? It's ikra suda. That's the pshat in Taisvus in Daf Kuf Ches. Mashenki yayin. It's not the halacha. The mechayiv or Heseiba yayin is because it's an ashtia of geula. It's a shtia of bnei chayrin. That's the getter of the halacha. The nafkamina would be, for example, it's a davar pashat that if you drank demai, yain shadmai, you're not yoitzer, according to the Taisvus, because that's a stira gemur. The meister or Getshavar Tainis some Mufusha Yerushalmi. Yerushalmi clears by yain acha bir, which according to Yehuda is mutter only la'aniyim. The Gemara says you can't be yoitzer with the daled kaisus. Remind me to shite. It just hit me now. I haven't seen it for the well. I'll send it to you. Okay? The Yerushalmi, the yayin acha bir, which according to Yehuda is only mutter la'aniyim. You're not yoitzer b'kaisus. Why? Because that's called shtias anius, and we can't be a shtias anius. It has to be a shtias nechayrin. That's exactly the agdara. So lechem matzah is achilas anius. Adrab it's mutter t'mai according to Taisiv and lechatchila. So the teretz is because the din Heseiba is not because of the mitzvah of matzah, but because that's ikar asuda. Mashenke bayayin adrab, but it's not ikar asuda. What's the mechayiv? Because the shtias nechayrin. The lesson of the Gemara is Yedei Cherus Yotza. Dalit Kaisis have a din of Yedei Cherus Yotza. It symbolizes Cherus. It says Mechayiv. Since you have been chayrin, you have to be chayrin even in drinking, even not inside Ikar Asuda. Those are the two Hagdoras found there in Alibid Nasa Taishus. Lamaisa, we have to see a brisa. The brisa is very interesting. The brisa says, Yerushalmi writes, you have it in your sheets. Very interesting, Yerushalmi. Let's find it for a moment. Where I put these things anymore. Oh, here it is. Yerushalmi writes that same Yerushalmi that we saw before. We go to the next line. So to Yerushalmi, Rabbi Simon b'shem Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi. Oisai Kizayus, she'adam yoytze by bepesach tzorach la'oichlei meisav. Does he talk about which kazayis? First one says in Mefurish, achila and not shtia. Now it could be because he's talking specifically about achila. We have to ask a question here, but he's only talking about oisai kazayis. And why does he say that oisai kazayis she'adam yoytze by bepesach tzorach la'oichlei meisav? Now, what does that kazayis mean? That kazayis, how many kazayim do you have to eat me'ikra adin de'iraisa? A kazayis of Pesach and a kazayis of matzah. That's it. That's the ikra adin, okay? Vaita, as far as that that seems that already goes into a shayla of Rishon. Okay, that's the oisei kazayis. Now let's understand what we're talking about. If he was about to tell me halacha that matzah tzorach Heseiba, why would he write oisei kazayis? If he wants to say it's a din of Pesach tzorach Heseiba, you write oisei kazayis. You write Pesach tzorach Heseiba, matzah tzorach Heseiba, oisei kazayis. The teretz is a bisa bekutri. I claim to the Mishnah. The Mishnah said lo yochachi yesev. So he says that what is mechayev the achila mechayeves, which is a kazayis. And lo yoich was talking about achila, not about shtia. Kimavur and the Gemara Daf Kufchesh, but then we only bring in the down cases later. In the name of Rav Nachman, and the words of the Mishnah, lo yochachi yesev, is not going on shtia, because we see le'edya. The ikra din's only 2 cups and not the other 2 cups, so it can't just be a vort of a shtia mechuyeves. You're chayiv from 4, but there's no din Heseiba on all 4. The ikra din's only on 2 out of the 4. The only reason we do all 4 because we don't know which 2. That's what the Gemara says. No, so the Mishnah is talking about achila. Rabbi Shur ben Levi is going on the Mishnah. The Mishnah says lo yoichel achiyesh. What do we mean lo yoichel? Oisei kazayis. Which kazayis are we talking about? The Pesach and the Matzah. If hypothetically there's a din of a kazayis b'afi koyma, that would also be included there. It's oisei kazayis, whatever kazayis you mechuyev to eat. Shodim yoytze b'ebe Pesach. To the extent there's a din of kazayis, whether it doesn't mention lav dafka deraisa or derabana. In din, it's like this korban Pesach and sublime halacha, so to speak, of zicher matzah rishonim, and according to the Rosh and according to the other rishonim, seems to be even matzah achronim. That's the getter of this halacha. I say this because there's a lot of stuff discussed around this, and l'chayre it's a davar pashut. This is what it says. Now let's look for careful. This seems to be the halacha. So now I know, according to this, there's no mention all that it's ma'akev here at this stage. Now you mentioned all that it's mi'akev. What's going to happen if you ate matzah shaloi ba'aseba? What are you going to be missing? You're going to be missing the mitzvah of aseba. To what extent is that din of aseba ma'akev in the tzurus mitzvah of matzah? That's now a question on the table. It's very clear from all the queries we came from that there's no way you can say that it's a din in the matzah. That's not happening, because we know exactly what aseba is. Taking account of the Shonis of the Mishnayos and the Toseftos. Whoever said whatever he said is Be'elam Das from the scope that I presented. I'm telling you the honest truth. Okay? That's davar pashut. It's not a din in the matzah. It's a din in tzur sasuda. There's no way you're going to stick in that Mishnah. It's a din in matzah. It's mamish to put an elephant into the hole of a sewing. I will peel the kupa de machta. It's a lashon gemara. Okay, it's a nice way of saying it's impossible. Okay, I mean you can push as much as you want. It's not going to go in. Okay, the best you can do is break the hole of the needle. Okay, so lamaisa, that's a davar pashut. Yishoka chadavar v'lo yomer. So l'chayret, now the only question is one thing, and that is that aspect of Suda, which we mentioned in the beginning of the Das Taz, is a din. Matzah is the mechayev of the yain, because matzah is the tzura of Sudas halayla. It's not just a din of matzah. That's the Sudas halayla, and therefore it has to be kavua. That halacha midrabanan of saying that ikra suda has to be kavua. That, in other words, they said that matzah, which equals ikra suda, has to be kavua. But if you didn't make that tzura ikra suda kavua, You did not eat the matzah because they demanded that the matzah should be Iker Sudas Kavua. So the Chesaron will never be in mitzvahs matzah per se. It will be a Chesaron in the Shem Suda Kavua. The question is, to what extent did Chazal decide that Hagdor of Iker Hasuda found in matzah is a ma'akid midrabanon and how they should be mekayim the tzur of matzah? That's the question. Kulam lo pligit adavar pashut Heseiba didn't tzur Hasuda. To what extent the tzur Hasuda midrabanon ma'akid in the tzur of how they came in the mitzvah of matzah? That will fit with everything we learned until now. And now I'm going to show you some Mefusha Gra and Mefusha Ramah. It starts as follows. The Brisa says, well, first in the Rush, okay? The Rush writes here, you have it in your sheets, it's a page like this. The Rush writes, Vafilu Ani Shebi Yisrael is in Simon Beis and Kuf Chesam and Aleph. Vafilu Ani Shebi Yisrael lo yoicha chi yesav itma. Matzah tzricha Heseiba, matzah needs Heseiba, mora ein tzorach Heseiba. Yayin, itma mishmei of Nachman tzorach Heseiba, ve'itma mishmei of Nachman lei tzorach Heseiba, v'lei pliget. Oh, betray kasi kamoi. This is the first two cups. Oh, betray kasi basroi. These are the second two cups, which is Birchas Hamazon and Alo. Amr leila haigis, amr haigis are very Jewish. So always there's two opinions of which one yes or which one no. Trey kasib asroi boy Heseiba de hevel lecherus. You're already free. You're not just transitioning. Now you are a free man. Trey kasib kamoi loy boy Heseiba nakat lecherus. You're still in transition, so you're still new to this. You don't buy yourself a couch yet. Okay, interesting the concept here. The akati avodim ayinu kamrina. Amilela haigis trey kasib kamoi boy Heseiba. The ushaita of the cheres, that feeling of cheres, that's what's mechayiv the Heseiba of Yayin. Trei kaseh basroi loy by Heseiba. They might have a hava. Hashta di amrinon the itmer hachi v'itmer hachi kula boy Heseiba. That's a Gemara. Stop. Umatzi boy Heseiba b'kazayis rishon b'kazayis shelafi kaiman v'im ocha b'loy Heseiba lo yotza. Now, how does he know this? So he says, Kida Omer Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi, another Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi is very popular in the sugya between Babylon and Yerushalmi. Shamish, she'ocha kezayis matzik, shumesiv yotza. What is this? This is a brayse found in Daf Kuf Chesam Medalef. I want you to open up for a moment. In the last three lines of the Gemara, after the Gemara discussed that there are people which don't need Heseiba, for example, a Shulya de Nagra, the apprentice of a carpenter, Iboilu, there's a question that was asked in the base medrash, Shamish, the servant equals the waiter. What's the din? Does the waiter have to have Heseiba? He's busy working. He eats, b'umad. That's what he does. He takes, he chaps. Does he have to sit down to have a proper meal? Toshma the Omer Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi Hashamish she'ochel kezayis matzah shu meisiv yotza meisiv en loy meisiv loy. What does the yotza mean? So here it goes interesting. According to Rambam, what would that mean? What is the chiddush of the Shamish Yotza? Rambam doesn't mention anywhere that anything's ma'akev in the mitzvah of matzah. You ate matzah ba'amida, you're yotza the mitzvah of matzah. So what does yotza mean? It means yotza the mitzvah of Heseiba. And what does this Brisa tell me, Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi? That this poor guy, which is now working, there's no way he can sit himself down on a couch and have a proper Suda Kvua. He must at least sit himself on a couch to have a Suda Kvua for the Iker Suda, which is the matzah. What is this Brisa telling us? This Brisa is simply telling us that Chatchila, the best things to have the whole Suda B'Kviyas, but if you can't, the minimum bottom basement is the kizayis matzah. Bingo. That's a the Rabban Paskin that la'alacha. That's how the Rabban Paskins. The Rabban Paskin that what? That the chatchila we should eat the whole meal meshubach with Heseiba. But if we, it's really enough to have the kazayis matzah, exactly what it says over here. So that seems to be, according to Rambam, the dinner of Yeshua ben Levi. Okay, that's nice. How does the Rosh learn the Chiddush of Yeshua ben Levi? The Rosh learned the Chiddush of Yeshua ben Levi is Hasham Shach kazayis matzah mesi yotza is yotza yidei choybas matzah. But if he didn't, he's not Yotzi Dei Choybas Matzah. According to him, the Chiddush of the Brisa is not to tell me that you're only the din of Heseiba, which the Chatchil is Kol HaSuda, is minimally the Kazayis Matzah. That's not the Chiddush, because if that would be true, Hamei Chidesi, to say the other deal. You'd say then that Yotza means Heseiba. But you're saying Yotza, you mean the Kazayis Matzah, you're saying means something totally different. So there's two ways of learning this Brisa. It depends what the word Yotza means. Here's the problem on the table. There are more paskins both. There are more, I think it's in your sheets. Should be. There are more, first and foremost, in yeah, first we'll go to Tov Ayin Bey, Sif Zion. In Tov Ayin Bey, Sif Zion, Kol mi shetzorech Heseiba im ochel ha'shosab le'Heseiba le'yotza, v'tzorech lazav alecha v'lishtas ba'Heseiba. That's the Lashon of the Rosh. He then writes afterwards, it brings the Ravya, and then he comes and he says afterwards, Ulechatchila Yosef kol asuda. So first of all, here he comes passing the halacha that what? That you're not Yosef, which is the Rosh. And he says, Ulechatchila Yosef kol asuda. Now, Zok the Gra as follows. Let me use the Gra to you. The Gra says, Ulechatchila, I'm going to take my Shulchan Aruch out because this is too small for my eyes. 1 minute. Here we are. So the Gra, the Amrin on Sham, Hashama Sha'achar Kazayis, V'chulu, Mashma Di'ebed, Umasnitin La'yoichel, V'chulu, Mashma Kol HaSuda. So he's mamish mefarish it like, so to speak, like that did, like so to speak, the Rambam, and that's what in the sense of Yeshua ben Levi. Now go kill me. How does this work? Because on the other hand, he holds the din that what that it's the whole passage like the Rosh that what that you're not yaitze the mitzvah, you're not yaitze if you ate shalei ba'Heseiba. Where's the source of that? Where's that coming from? Well, let's look at it carefully. Open up. I just show you another place to see this. Okay, and that is the Moshe. Yeah, well, I just want to see one more. Yeah, that's more. How does it work? What does the Rosh say before? He says when he brings this halacha. Let me just find here. Here's the Gra. Call me Siv Zayin, the beginning. Sham Mesev and nearly Ayin Rosh Sham, etc. Mesev and Loi Mesev Loi. What's that going on? He's quoting the Gemara dealing with the Brisa of Yeshua ben Levi. So on one hand, the beginning of the Sif, the Mechaber, which he agrees with, the Ramah agrees to, the Rosh, the Gemara writes the Makkah Israel Yeshua ben Levi, where the Gemara says Mesev and Loi Mesev Loi means you're not Yotze the mitzvah. And on the other hand, the Ramah himself says that the din is the Chatchila. He should eat the whole Suda. The Gemara again says it's from Yeshua ben Levi. How's it possible? L'chayr, what does the word Yotza mean? I'm going to explain the question again. There are two halachas. One halacha is the Rosh. The Rosh says that if you didn't eat the matzah b'Heseiba or the akfikim b'Heseiba, you weren't Yotza, the mitzvah. The Rosh says what, and this is the we pass the halacha, we pass the Mechaber, and the Ramah agrees. The Gemara writes, what's the mucker? This Gemara Psachim, Amar Abishua ben Levi, Hashama she'achad kizayis, Heseiba yotza. And the Gemara says, yotza, Heseiba yotza in, lie. When you're Mesiv, you're yotza, and that you're not yotza. How does the Rosh explain that? You're not yotza the mitzvah of matzah. So he understands the word la yotza means you weren't yotza the mitzvah of matzah or Pesach. That's what it means. And then afterwards, the same Ramah and the same Simon brings the din of the Rambam, that the Chatchila you're supposed to have the whole Suda Ba'aseva, and only secondary possibility is only the Matzah Mchuyeves. He says, what's the makar? That same grace of Rabbi Shua ben Levi. Rabbi Shua ben Levi says, the Shama Sha'ocha Kizayis Matzah Yotza, was he Yotza the mitzvah Heseiba? In other words, the Mishnah says, he writes, you have to have the whole Suda. This price says the mitzvah Heseiba shows that Rabbi Shua ben Levi is telling us that the Mishnah is a broad thing, but b'di'evid, a minimum is the Suda Mchuyeves. You can't say both. Yet the Gra holds that the Ramah is Machlik Shtal Beit. He says there's two pshatim in the Yeshua Brisa of Yeshua ben Levi, which are sides of each other. Are you talking about Yotzei Dei Matzah? Are you talking about Yotzei Dei Heseiba? That's a pella. How can possibly Gra possibly say that the mucker of this is Rabbi Shua ben Levi, the mechaber which the Ramah agrees to, and then the Ramah himself? It's either A or B. What's muchach from here? I should leave it hanging for you to figure it out. I need to be miyashiv this garage. I need you to look it up. We'll stop now. Yeah, I want to see you do it. Okay, it's in Siv. It's in Tofayin Bay Siv Zion. Read the Siman. Read the first garage Siv Zion. The first Sham. Sham means the Gemara Kufches, and then go on that further line. There's the Chatchila going on the Ramah at the bottom, and there he brings once again the same thing Kufches of Hashamish. In one line, you have the Gra seems to be saying one thing is very, very clear in the Gra. He does not think the options are it's either a din in Heseiba or a din in Matzah. Because if it's either or, you can't hold both. He obviously understands it's a din in the Suda. And he understands, lo yotza, your word yotza Heseiba, then memela, because of that, you're not yotza the matzah. And therefore, you're not yotza the matzah. It's not you're not yotza the matzah. If your word yotza Heseiba, your word yotza the matzah, and then someone has to clinch together. I need you to explain this. After you will explain this, you'll afterwards see how this totally undoes the writings of Moran Riz Halevi in his book. Whatever it's clear from the Gra that to say that Heseiba is a din in the matzah, after everything we learned today, capped with this Gra, that's Mamish Begeda Yishoka Chadav Reloim Veloya Omru Klal V'Chlal. Enjoy yourselves. I'll see you tomorrow. 1 minute. So can we start a half an hour earlier tomorrow?